We're continuing this discussion on personal management of money. In this episode, what we want to talk about is credit.
Yes.
And a lot of us didn't grow up having parents who had credit cards or so if anything, they made sure that you stayed away from it.
Yeah. Until you're a bit older and until you go through it, you don't actually understand what it is.
Yeah.
And your parents just tell you, don't get a credit card. Why do you need a credit card? Don't get a credit card. And at the time, it seems like the temptation to do what you're told not to do. So you get it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Credit is basically your ability or your... how can I put it? The perception that companies have of you about your ability to manage goods that you don't actually own. So there are many things that people take out on credit. They don't actually own that particular item or thing until it has been finished being paid for. And that can go from something physical like a car, a house, or it can go to something that you don't necessarily see, and that's your mobile phone data usage, your car insurance. Those things are on credit because you are paying for them, most people, on a monthly basis. You haven't paid for that service or for that thing to use it at the outset of it. So that's essentially what it is.
Firstly, we want to demystify this perception of credit being woo-ha, like scary thing that you never go next to. In fact, it's the opposite. Credit is your financial power. And if you actually don't believe me, ask Jay-Z.
You want to know what's more important than throwing away money at a strip club? Credit.
One of the things, if you join my webinars, that I do discuss, and one of the first webinars I discussed was about downloading your credit file with either Experian, ClearScore, but that it's key to just to know what's out there, because you might think, oh, well, I've never had anything on credit, so I don't have a file. But to be honest, most people, by the time you turn 18, you're going to have a file. My first advice is take a responsibility in your household to pay for something. So, to be honest with you, if you're 18 and you've got a phone, it should be in your name. You should really be trying to pay that off by yourself. If you already kind of do that, then you can start looking into getting yourself a credit card. Not even with a big limit, literally just £200, something that you just use to buy a minimum or pay like a minimum bill. It's a good way to actually show that you can lend money and pay it back. It's a good way to start that cycle. So if you're starting, start small. I'm not saying, go out there and get a credit card with £2,000 on it. No, start small and start what you can manage. And what is not going to tempt you to go and do something that you can't afford. And one thing I say about your credit file, which is important to most people, and some people don't realise this, is that it is important to be registered on the Electoral roll. One thing that lenders want to know is that you have some sort of stability in you where you live. So if you have registered to vote, you may not actually physically vote, but the fact that you're registered with the Electoral roll system, it shows that you have lived a sustained address for a long period of time. One of the things that was key in my journey was following Martin Lewis. So most of you will know about Martin Lewis. He has regular shows on ITV on the Breakfast Show. He explains things in such a simple form, and like I say, these are things that we haven't learned at school. These are things that you have to become accustomed to learning, and trying to understand what exactly a balance transfer card is, and zero interest and no APR. Those terms are not something that are familiar to us, and the way Martin Lewis explains it and the way he generally advises people about how to improve credit, and he'll tell you the latest deals. He'll tell you, this bank at the moment is offering this, this supermarket has got grapes cheaper than this one. He tells you a lot of things. So it covers all spectrums. Car insurance, one of the ways that I now pay my car insurance annually is because of Martin Lewis. I've got to a point now where I haven't paid my car insurance monthly in over 4 years.
What other points do you have in terms of maintaining credit? What would you say you do, or what people should avoid in order to actually keep a good credit score?
So one of the things that's key as well is when you're applying for credit cards, certain credit searches will appear on your credit file. If there's 5 searches for 5 different credit cards on the same day, that is going to flag up to a lender if they don't actually see any of those credit cards on your file, because they'll be like, well, what was all these searches about? So definitely avoid constantly applying when you're getting rejected.
And also about checks as well. You can have hard credit check or a soft check. So sometimes if you're applying for things like finance or whatever it might be, ask the people whether they're going to be running a credit check on you. And then just find out it's going to be like a very in-depth credit check, which can actually also go on your credit report, or is it a soft check which doesn't impact credit profile. Do not be discouraged on starting or working your way to actually rebuilding your credit.
Yeah.
If you've got bad credit, if you don't have a credit history on you, start working on building that credit.
Yeah.
And maybe if you want to have that conversation with a professional advisor, take that step so you can even find out more on what you can do and what options you have. Yeah. That is it for this episode where Shiela and I talk about credit and just demystifying the myths of credit and also our perception of what credit is. Yeah. So if anything, I hope you've taken from this video is, credit isn't bad, but obviously if you are going to start building your credit, just understanding the things that you need to do is about controlling it and managing it yourself. So I hope you have found this video helpful and beneficial. If you want to keep in touch with Shiela, you can direct message her as well via Instagram. I'll leave all her handles down below. She does actually run a webinar once a week, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday at the moment, yes.
Yeah, where you can pick her brain and also she shares her journey in this and what she's been doing. So stay tuned for the next part where we will be discussing financial management, okay? Otherwise, subscribe, like, and leave your comments. Thank you very much.
Continue being hustlers.